There are thousands upon thousands of online games on Steam, and the vast majority of those would be considered unpopular, obscure, and even dead. That's because generally people like to play the same games as others. They want to experience an online world together and play with their friends. But does that mean that if a game lacks a player base, it's inherently bad? Well, usually. But at the same time, there's a ton of hilarious and funny games on Steam to delve into. And today, by browsing through some of the lower rated sections on Steam, I found 4 games that completely lack a player base. And today, I want to find out why. Do these games lack a player base due to them being bad, or are they bad because they lack a player base? What came first, the chicken or the egg? But our end goal today, as always, is to hopefully find something kinda good. A diamond in the rough. Look at this game description. Time of guilds, wizards, warriors, blacksmith, tailors, scribes, alchemists, woodworkers, animal tamers, brewers, traders, and murderers. Wow, thanks for telling me so much pertinent information about this game. Released in April of 2020 and with 36 reviews. Let's check this out. So, after a ridiculously slow loading screen featuring this woman, who is probably one of the wizards, warriors, blacksmiths, tailors, scribes, alchemists, woodworkers, animal tamers, brewers, traders, and murderers they talked about, you're finally loaded into a dark screen where you can choose between 3 servers. I chose NA and began creating a character. Now, Ultimo Reno is a highly progressive game that's all about inclusion in the modern times. So when it comes to gender, you actually have 3 separate options: male, female, and skeleton. No, seriously, skeleton is a gender. I identify as a skeleton and my pronouns are doot. Anyway, character customization is pretty standard. You can change a lot of the proportions, but not a lot of details. You can be extremely tall, extremely fat, very lanky, and vice versa. Also, why are the thighs just always jiggling? What's up with that? It's like my character has a twitch, but only in his left thigh. Anyway, when I was happy with my appearance, I named myself Waydot and loaded into the game. Upon entering Ultimo, your character is slightly off-kilter.
It's only 8 o'clock and I'm fucked up as shit.
You're shown some basic movement controls like WASTA. You have some health and mana and stamina in the bottom and a short menu in the top. I wandered around a bit before coming across this monk, and you might be wondering, isn't that the Final Fantasy XIV quest marker? Yes, it's a 1-to-1 copy of the Final Fantasy XIV quest marker. Anyway, this guy wanted me to kill 5 giant bats, 5 evil eyes, 5 gargoyles, and 10 ratkin. Unfortunately, however, I couldn't actually accept the quest because apparently I needed to be level 3. Okay. So instead, I took a look at some of my menus. Here's my inventory, including everything I have equipped, and after I found a skills menu, and this seems to be sort of a classless system where you can apply different skills like magic or ranged or melee as you level up. I currently had 2 abilities equipped, which were assigned to Q and E. When you press these keys, you then have to actually manually aim the keys and click to use the ability, even though they're just melee attacks. Interesting. Afterwards, I found my quest menu, and apparently I had an already active quest. Somehow, without ever talking to an NPC. Apparently I needed to kill 30 skeleton warriors. Okay, well, let's get to it. I started to make my way outside of the city gates and into the world of Ultimo, and after I crossed the bridge, I immediately found a frogman beast green. And because I was so anxious to test out the combat, I figured this shouldn't be too much of a challenge. I aimed and used my melee attack, and then he one-shot me, and I died. I also got a Steam achievement called First Die, which reads, "This is just the beginning." Listen, it's about to be the end of this game if there's a mob right outside of the starting zone that can immediately one-shot you. Anyway, I chose to respawn at the closest point, which I assumed would be the town I originally started in, but no. Instead, I spawned inside of a small fire pit beside a giant ice dragon. I looked behind me and saw a giant orc, and looking forwards up the hill, it seems like there was some fighting happening. It looks like some sort of lava giant had just perished, and yes, these guard NPCs seem to have taken care of the threat. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work. I mean, these guards were so nice, they didn't even pick up the loot after killing the lava giant, so there was just 142 gold coins sitting on the ground, which I was able to pick up by walking over them. Anyway, I found another NPC with the Final Fantasy XIV quest marker, but unfortunately for this quest, I had to be level 5. And after entering this outpost, I found another girl with another FF14 quest marker, but as I got closer, she just disappeared. What? So I ran back a bit and received this short loading screen as my character rubber banded about 20 seconds into the past, and voila, she's back. Unfortunately though, for her quest, I had to be level 8. I was kinda unsure about how I was supposed to actually gain experience at this point. I mean, I tried to fight a small frog who one-shot me. I had a singular quest in my quest log telling me to kill skeleton warriors who were probably even stronger than the frog I tried to fight. And every NPC that I talked to who utilized the Final Fantasy XIV quest marker couldn't actually give me new quests because I wasn't a high enough level. Why is this game imitating the job market in 2025? Why do I need experience to gain experience? It's a complete paradox. Anyway, I decided to venture back to the starting town to see if I was missing something. Along the way, I found this cute little rabbit, and after making it back into town, I realized that I could walk in an entirely different direction. The other way, across yet another bridge. On this bridge, I found a pig that seemed to be suffering from the same issue I had upon spawning in.
It's only 8 o'clock and I'm fucked up as shit.
However, this pig also said that it was rideable, but no matter what I tried, I couldn't seem to mount this pig. Unfortunate. Anyway, after crossing the bridge, I finally found the skeleton warriors that I was supposed to be fighting. It says that these guys are only level 1s, so surely I can take them, right? Well, technically, yes, we killed each other. And really, that's a great parallel to what playing this Ultimo Reno game feels like. You start off confident in your abilities, ready to take on everything from frogs to skeletons, but you slowly realize that you've basically shot yourself in the foot, because this game is utter dog shit. I'm gonna give it an F. An F+, and only because the developers had the cojones to use a good game like Final Fantasy XIV as inspiration, and that's why they stole their quest markers. Moving on. So next up we have Hero Plus, which sounds like an idle game you might find at the top of the App Store. Unfortunately, this game didn't receive too much attention, releasing in 2018 and only receiving 260 mixed reviews on Steam. It says that Hero Plus is an MMO based on a story written by 3 generations of Chinese novelists, which is pretty impressive. So let's see what we're in for. Upon loading into the game, you're asked to choose between 6 servers, all named Darkness for some reason, and also this game has no audio, like literally none. So enjoy some nice background music while we delve into Hero Plus. And this is character customization. The first option that you can cycle through is actually your class. There is Beast King, Empress, Baek Mu Ju, Dae So Ryu, Gok Chun, Ho Wal Yu, and no description whatsoever of what these classes actually do. You just get a visual representation and a nondescript name like Baek Mu Ju, and you're supposed to be able to understand the role or the playstyle that you might be choosing. Interesting. Anyway, I decided to be the Beast King since it's one of the few classes that I could sort of understand how they might be played, and it seems like I'm a human in a furry costume. However, upon trying to use some of the further customization options, such as head or face, you just can't. It looks like you can change these options, but the only option is default. So you literally can't even customize your character. However, I was able to change the height of my character between 1 and 4, which are called phases for some reason. Anyway, I tried to name myself Fursona, thinking surely that name would be taken, but no. It's not taken, which makes sense considering it only has 260 reviews on Steam. This game probably hasn't seen too many players. And then, after a loading screen with a horrible aspect ratio, you're brought into the game and met with a giant informational pop-up telling you the controls. Interestingly, I can already see that A is assigned to something other than move left, meaning it's probably going to be a click to move or arrow keys. Oh yeah, it's both. And yeah, this is Hero Plus. I'm spawned beside a bunch of legendary animals, and I opened up my inventory where I had some XP boosters and other items which granted buffs. Looking in my character page, it says I'm 1 Caillou, which I'm assuming is my level. I accidentally clicked on an item in my inventory, which teleported me about 7 feet away to the other side of the tree that I was actually standing by, and believe it or not, I found another player. Mr. Peepee No Popo. How this game has 260 reviews since its release in 2018, and yet I somehow managed to log in at the same time as another player is baffling. I tried interacting with Mr. Peepee No Popo, but he wouldn't respond. And then, you definitely won't believe this, yet another player spawned in, by Comil. I tried talking to him as well, and then he logged off or disappeared somehow. Okay, well this game is more popular than I originally expected. Anyway, I talked to the legendary fox who had a quest for me, which apparently got me to level 3. Not bad. And he told me to talk to the legendary tiger who told me to defeat 20 giant phoenixes. Sounds easy enough, so after looking at my world map and toggling the giant phoenixes, I was able to see where to find them. Now, combat is a little strange in Hero Plus. You basically have safe zones and combat zones. If you're in a combat zone, everything in that zone will begin attacking you at the same time. And then if you're in a safe zone, nothing can attack you. So as I got nearer to these giant phoenixes, which definitely don't look anything like phoenixes, they all began attacking me. At this point, I didn't really have any abilities, so I kind of just clicked on them and my character would punch and do flips and shit. The very first phoenix that I actually killed dropped me a piece of armor called the powerful White Moose leather armor. But apparently I had to identify this armor, which would cost 200,000 gold, of which I currently only had 255. And actually, after killing 20 more giant phoenixes for my quest, they never dropped me anything else. Which kind of makes me think this is some sort of engagement mechanic, where the very first enemy you kill drops a really good item that costs a ton of money to identify in order to entice you to keep playing the game. Anyway, after handing in the giant phoenix quest, I was level 6 Caillou, and at this point there were 4 other players standing around me in the starting zone, which was beginning to seem dubious. Especially considering I had attempted to talk to multiple of them and no one was replying. I would assume these are either bots controlled by one other player, but I don't really understand the incentive to bot in a game that has no other players. So I think more likely they are bots created by the actual developers to make the game feel more alive for any new players who might actually start playing the game. So afterwards, I was told to kill the legendary giant phoenix, which I did, and that got me to level 7. And then a little while later, I actually noticed that although the font used within Hero Plus uses standard letters for everything, the L is actually in cursive for no apparent reason. Now, the uppercase L is not in cursive, but the lowercase L is. And you know what? That about sums up my experience with Hero Plus.
L L L L L L L.
Overall, we can give Hero Plus a D+. It functions, combat works, although it's janky. I'm pretty sure those other new players were just bots, but I mean, I was able to name myself Fursona, so not the worst. Next. Oh boy, do I even want to do this. So this game's a little bit more popular than the others in terms of reviews. We're looking at over 1,100. Onigiri is an MMO ARPG that was released in 2019, and it looks somewhat sexual, I'm not gonna lie. It looks a little degen, but I mean, we're here to test some dead games, so let's give it a go. You've got to be kidding me. This is the literal icon for the game. Okay, well, I'm not gonna lie, the music is pretty fantastic. I pressed login and you're immediately met with character creation. First off, you can choose a body type like muscular male or glamorous female, and also young boy and young girl. Also, everyone just has horns for some reason. Anime MMOs are always so funny to me. Like, you can just imagine them all sitting in an office being like, hey, how do we separate ourselves from the other 450 games that were released just yesterday that look and play the exact same as ours? I know, we'll make every character have horns for no apparent reason. Yes, that's it. Anyway, I often like to choose characters that best represent me. We're not going to talk about the Fursona from the game prior, but in Onigiri, I chose to be an average body male. And after a few moments of customization, I was happy with my horned average body male. You can choose a voice and then you're asked to choose a class, which are actually just a mix of adjectives and emotions. Power, defensive, cautious, kind. Yes, kind is a class. And finally, daring. Anyway, I chose power because this game was already making me feel slightly insecure, and you're loaded into a zone that I'm not going to read out loud for fear of demonetization. It's WASD to move, the interface is pretty clean and easy to understand, and you have a few different attacks that you can use according to these 3 pop-ups down below. I fought this Daruma before being introduced to a cutscene in which you hear a distraught woman cry out for help. Before being shown, and I'm not kidding, a giant 5-headed mega fire-breathing black dragon. Did this game just have me kill a cute little Daruma and then immediately assume I had enough experience to take on one of the strongest beings in the entire game? A literal god card level dragon with 5 heads? Yes, that's exactly what happened. Okay, well hopefully this guy isn't too tough and oh, he's dead. I literally took him down with like 5 attacks. Also, defeating him leveled me up. Hell yes. And now I literally saved the girl from the dragon and she's clearly head over heels in love with me. Now, this might get me some flack, but is the target audience of this game really supposed to be buying into this? That you just create a character, immediately kill a huge dragon, and now the pretty girl loves you and wants to show you the world? Listen, I might be a little out of touch when it comes to anime culture. I don't particularly enjoy or participate in a lot of these sort of shows or stories or even games, but this is a little pathetic. However, I still have to admit the music is fire. Anyway, I use this teleporter. It seems like every loading screen is a slightly sexual comic, which is kinda cool, but definitely kinda weird. And then I was loaded into the main game and into the zone of demonetized. before being shown this daily reward calendar, and okay, that's like triple demonetized. Sorry folks, I would love to continue with Onigiri, but that's gonna have my YouTube channel taken down faster than you can say softcore. You know, the combat felt pretty decent, the audio was awesome, I would have loved to play more, but unfortunately, this is the end of the road. So Onigiri gets a B, not because of anything to do with the actual game or the gameplay, but simply a B for breaking TOS. Anyway, moving on. Okay, well, hopefully our next game isn't as degenerate as that, and I don't think it will be. Released just last year in May, Legends of Aria Classic. Apparently, the original Legends of Aria was released in 2019, but it failed due to updates. And in order to regain some of the original player base, they decided to re-release the game as a classic, where it's reverted back to its 2019 form. Researching any information about this game is fairly difficult, as the developers basically nuked everything, including their original Twitter account. So I'm assuming they must have made some pretty bad updates. But in 2024, just last year, the classic version re-released, and it has a whopping 239 mixed reviews on Steam, so let's check it out. Well, Legends of Aria jumps you straight into character creation, with a sort of Albion-esque graphical style. I really thought that I might actually enjoy this game. So far, it looks pretty great. You can choose between a few different facial styles and haircuts, as well as your skin color, and it all looks pretty standard. There isn't too many options, but there's enough. But then I decided to check out the female model just to see what it looks like, and oh my god. Where are her eyes? What are those blue lines across the top and the side of her head? Now, you'll notice that when I click on face option C, that the eyes return to normal and those white splotches on her head disappear. However, for every other facial style, the eyes turn into skin-covered bulbs, while those white splotches reappear. Which makes me think those are supposed to be the eyes. Anyway, I kinda look like an airbender, which is pretty cool, so this is the character I chose to go with. Anytime I play a female character, I name her Waydot, and with that, I progressed forward with the character customization. Now, in Legends of Aria, you can actually choose your character's clothes as well. This is pretty great. You can choose a shirt, and you can choose a color for the shirt, and you have a decent amount of options. And that's all great, except for when it comes time to choose your pants. Because, well, you can't see them. No, seriously, there is no way to zoom out and look at your character from a distance. So anyway, after choosing pants that I couldn't see, I was then asked to choose between 5 different classes. There's Warrior, Mage, Archer, Blacksmith, and Advanced. I chose to be an Archer because generally I play Mages or Warriors, and I wanted to go with something a little different. Now, finally, before actually entering the game, you're asked to allocate a bunch of skill points. You have 20 available, and as you can see, my Archery and Vigor are already maxed out at 30, so I can't add any more skill points to those. But my healing is only at 20, so I added 10 more skill points to healing, making all of my skills 30, the max. But I still had 10 skill points left over. No, seriously, look, I have 10 remaining skill points, but I can't add them to any skill. What is the point of this? Well, whatever, I press next, and then this game has the gall to actually give me a pop-up explaining that I have unassigned skill points still available. Are you kidding me? I would love to assign those skill points, but the game literally won't let me. Anyway, I click proceed despite not assigning all of my skill points, and you're shown a map and given an option between 4 different starting zones. They all sounded somewhat interesting, but I decided to choose the Eldier Village. And this is Legends of Aria. You're given a quick tutorial that walks you through all of the different menus and options and shows you how to move around and interact. It's actually a pretty decent tutorial, and the overall interface and look of the game was actually kind of impressive. It had a sort of cartoony graphical style that's reminiscent of a more realistic Albion Online. It's click to move or Wasta, and you have an inventory that's just the inside of your bag. This style of inventory was really common in a lot of older RPGs from the late 90s and early 2000s. So I talked to the chef, and he told me to get 10 stringy meat by skinning chickens. So I right-clicked on a chicken and began to attack it, and afterwards I right-clicked to harvest it, and loot is found within this coffin that appears on your screen. And even though I skinned the chicken, all I got were some measly feathers. Okay, I put them in my inventory, which was kind of an annoying process because you have to click and drag it, but it's okay. I still didn't really understand how to get stringy meat, but I noticed I had a knife in my inventory, and yeah, that did nothing. It's just another weapon, okay? But next I was told about my magical guide, which I literally didn't even notice while playing the game, but that's this little mini faint circle that's following me. I asked the magical guide what I should do next, and it said I should begin to learn crafting and fighting, okay? Anyway, I tried to kill another chicken, and once again, just feathers. So I decided to leave the little village that I spawned in and explored some of the other interfaces. Honestly, this game looks and feels really clean and crisp. All of the UI is pretty easy to read and understand and has good functionality, but I was kind of missing the point. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And I feel like this game could massively benefit from some sort of tutorial or a storyline to at least get things started. Anyway, I ventured forth and I found this house, and I was actually able to open the door and go inside. The audio switches to that of a slightly crowded bar, and you can actually hear the distinct chatter of people in the background. But there's literally only one NPC in here, Mrs. Paws. So anyway, a little while later, I found a giant rat, which I shot with my bow, and okay. Combat is a little bit more janky than I first expected. After you finally kill something, your character sort of just runs with their weapon out and arrow still drawn until you do some sort of other action. I progressed a bit further and even fought a horse, which was kinda interesting, but really, I've never felt so directionless when starting a game. I really truly don't get it. Why does Legends of Aria even exist? There doesn't seem to be any leveling system outside of my skills, so I just am. I tried stealing some equipment from the shop, but the game wouldn't let me, and despite having an attack option on the shop owner, I wasn't actually able to damage him either, which is kinda lame. Eventually, I came to this giant ethereal blue circle, which I can't tell if this is intentional or if it's like a work-in-progress placeholder, as it didn't seem like I could actually enter this blue circle. So, all in all, I don't really know what to make of this. It feels like a completely unfinished game that has a ton of issues, from character creation all the way to my last few moments of playing the game. For a game that apparently had to be re-released in its classic form to even get people to come back and play it, I would say this is a bit of a disappointment. However, today's games have been so utterly catastrophic in terms of quality that I can't really rate this anything other than a C-. It's not good, but at least I kinda get what the developers were going for. Anyway, folks, that's gonna be it for today's edition of Exploring Dead Games. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who made it to the end of the video. Don't forget a comment, a like, a sub. Those things help a bunch. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider becoming a channel member. Anyways, I will catch you all in the next one. Later.